So you're on the market again. It's kind of a scary time, isn't it? All of those what ifs and what nots. Well, let's say we take a little look at some of the things that brought you here, and maybe we could take a look at some things that maybe will keep you from getting here again. Hey everybody, I am Rick Higgins, and today we are going to talk about George Jetson and how to get him off of that endless treadmill. For starters, this is not a dating video. I am not going to tell you how to date. I am not going to tell you how to find your next partner. In fact, the only thing I'm going to tell you is basically how you're going to screw it up next time. Now, I am what you call an expert on this subject. I have been married twice. I have been divorced twice. I've been in two very long-term relationships that approximated a marriage, and I'm not in either one of them anymore either. So I am kind of what you would call a case example of what not to do. So when I speak to you of these things, believe me, I learned it the hard way. Way back when you got married, and you got married with the best of intentions, and you probably got married at a younger age. Everything that you knew about marriage was based on what you observed in your parents and your friends' parents, and a whole lot of TV and movie scripts. How did that work out for you? Life obviously was not that, and your relationship built. In fact, it probably built a lot of very bad things, and it kept going and it kept going and it kept going until finally you had had enough. You pulled that ripcord and left it, you did. And that's when you thought that you had it all down, that you knew what was wrong and what was right, and you were ready to start again. Now here's where I've got some bad news for you if this is where you are. And if you've done this a few times, well, you'll listen up and we're going to go through that whole cycle that you've already been through. Now here's the thing, the reality. You don't know what went wrong. You really don't. You don't have a clue what went wrong. You're playing the blame game right now, probably. You know, it was mostly their fault. You probably had very little to do with it. You know how that goes. So as you're going through your stories, lots of those bitter stories, you know what that relationship is going to look like next time. The one that you're after, you know exactly what it's going to look like, right? I mean, it's the one that should have been. You're going to replace that first person with the second person, but this time you're going to choose better, and you're going to hit that Sherman Wayback Machine, and the previous 5, 10, 4,000 years of life that you had with them is going to be instantly replaced with this new person. Well, guess what? You can't replace. You cannot replace and go back in time, because everything that you did wrong, you're going to do again, because you're simply thinking that it was the person, and that all you have to do is replace that character, recut the film, and Oscar award winning satisfaction. Well, no. But you did it anyway. So you got married again. You replaced old what's his her name with the new what's his her name. Everything's going to be great. You've got this relationship, right? Guess what? You probably don't. Why? Because you're probably basing this new relationship / marriage on old expectations. Remember when you got married the first time, what were you, teens, early 20s perhaps? And are you basing this entire marriage, this replacement marriage, based on all of your thoughts and expectations and desires and ideas of what a marriage was back when you were a teenager or in your 20s? Do you see where this is going? I call this the cycles of repetition, and I sadly, as I mentioned earlier, have 4 lustrous, wonderful, joyful cycles of this repetition. Now, I am on number 5. I don't know if I have indeed finished this endless cycle of lather, rinse, repeat, but I think I have. I think I am at the point where I have stopped basing all of my next relationships on what my previous relationships should have been. And we're going to see if that part of the cycle, when you actually change it to be something else, is actually worthwhile. I'm crossing fingers. Okay, a quick recap before we get into the rest of this. What have we got? Number 1, a marriage relationship is 2 people with two sets of ideas. And it starts with a whole lot of unknowns. You know what the other person's favorite food is, what their favorite actor is, probably. But do you know what they want out of life? Did you at the very first part? Did you really know what they wanted? Number two, well, you and I have tried some replacement strategies. Same marriage, different person. You know, maybe you interviewed them a little bit better and tried to make a better match, but guess what? You're still the same person. You didn't re-interview yourself, did you? You just went and looked for the other person to be someone else. And number three, you're ready to try again. You're in a place where you are ready to find another partner, marriage, spouse, whatever, but this time you're afraid. You are very, very afraid because you have a history of failure. You have a history of, in my case, more than one failure. And yeah, you're going to have fear. You're going to have anxiety. You're going to look at it as maybe it's going to happen again. Well, for starters, let's get back to that word failure. If you lead off with failure, that's what you're going to find. You see what you look for. If you are looking for failure and expecting failure, well, guess what? You're going to find failure. Are you going online? Are you going to do some online dating? How are you going to do the profile? Are you going to put everything in there of what you don't want in another person? I will not accept this. I will not accept that. Well, guess what you're going to find? You're going to find a person who doesn't do what you don't want them to do. But you never told them what you wanted. You actually never probably said to yourself what you wanted. You just know what the failure cycle looks like. Be positive. I mean, honestly, when you do the whole negative thing, it leaves so much room for unknown. I don't want someone who clips their toenails in bed. Okay, that's what you got. What did you get? There's so much ambiguity and so much room for what you do want and all the things that maybe you forgot to list that you didn't want. And besides, if you lead off with failure, it just really makes you a downer, and that is a serious turnoff. What should you do? Well, be realistic. Be realistic with yourself. Be realistic with the other person. All that extra fluff and resume padding, if you will, it doesn't do you any good. Be the real you. When you are out there putting yourself, whether it's online, in person, however, fixed date, be yourself. And to do that, you have to know yourself. Who are you? In one sentence, real quick, describe yourself. Describe who you are in one sentence. Got it? That's who you are. That is the nuts and bolts person of who you are. That's what you lead with. That's what you finish with. All the other fluff, all of the other stuff doesn't matter. It's window dressing. You're not selling window dressing, you're selling yourself. When you're looking at the other person, look for their sentence, not their window dressing, not their fluff. All of that is what's going to get you in trouble. That is what you're afraid of. What do you really need to do? You need to figure out what you want. You need to figure out what is your next day, next month, next year's going to look like. How do you envision living it? Now, put a person in there next to you living that. Take away faces, take away names, take away body shapes and clothing choices and hair color. What does the person next to you look like in your future world? That is who you are looking for, not a specific character who has the characteristics of what you're looking for. You're looking for that person. So you have to understand who you are, you have to understand who they are. And then and only then can you find that person to fill the void. It is not a casting where the right person who looks great on screen is going to sit by your side. This is long term. You want to find the right person who plays off of you completely well and you them. Now here's a great bit of advice to help quell your fears. You have time. Go search. Make it enjoyable. You're not on a timeline. You don't have a calendar with a big X on a certain Saturday that said that's going to be your wedding date, and every day closer to it just makes you go, oh my God, I don't have the right person yet. You got time. Even when you're in your 50s, 60s, and you think the clock is ticking, well, even more so, you've got time. Because what if you make another mistake? What if you don't have the luxury of giving another 10 years to another relationship just to have to do it again? You've got time. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy the search. Also, experiment. Be willing to change if you are willing to change. Understand who you are. And when you meet somebody, you don't want to just change to fit their mold, but look at their lifestyle, look at who they are, look at who you are. It's an ever-evolving thing. You want to beat the fear? Well, stop being so rigid. Understand who you are and what you can accept and what you can't, but also understand what you can and are willing to change, adopt, and bring into your life. Okay, so you found a potential person. You've dated them a couple times. Things are going pretty well. Well, guess what? To put this in business speak, you just left feasibility. You still haven't found the right person yet. You found the right candidate. You still have time and you have a lot of things to learn about you, about them, and about you together. And by that, I mean all of the obvious things. It's not just, oh, woohoo, I'm falling in love and everything else is just daisies down the path. Yes, it's going to be that. Enjoy that part of the journey as well. But keep your eyes open. Be realistic. I know it's hard to be realistic when you're falling in love, but otherwise, you're going to be living Groundhog Day. If all of a sudden you throw everything out because your emotions and your sexual drive have suddenly the only things that you think about, well, there's a good chance that you're going to be afraid again of doing this whole thing in a couple of years. So more than anything, think, keep your mind open, look. What's this really going to look like in the future? Maybe it's just something that you can enjoy now. But if you were thinking of making the bigger commitment, bring the fear back, because that's what's going to help you. So yeah, up till now, I've been telling you how to get rid of the fear. This is the point in time where you really need to be afraid, very afraid, and find out a way to become unafraid again. Now, one last thought for you. I want you to bear in mind that I have been talking to you. I maybe have also been talking to that other person. Remember that there are two people in this. They are probably in the same boat that you are. They have probably had failed relationships, especially if you're our ages, and you are both in the same place with the same fears, looking for the same things. Please bear that in mind, because when you do become together, if you become together, both of your lives are going to change. Both of your lives have the potential to not have it work out. You both have the same goal. What are you two going to do? Are you going to learn? Are you going to manage your fears and use it when correctly? Or are you just going to lather, rinse, repeat this whole thing, and maybe in a few years we'll watch this video to kind of see what you should have done? I hope that you succeed. I really do. So with that, be healthy, be happy, and we'll talk to you really soon. Hey, thanks for watching until the very end. I have a request of you, and it's not the usual YouTube. Please subscribe and please hit the like button. Although, if you'd like to subscribe and hit the like button, that would be great. No, there is a link in the description for a Facebook group that we have for folks who are over 50 and over 60. It is called, well, Mastering Life After 50 and 60. Kind of clever, huh? Anyway, go find it down there, give it a click. It is a very active community. These are active people in real life as well as online, and we'd love to have you come join us. And as always, be safe, be healthy, be happy. We're going to talk to you real soon.